My dear friends, in our readings today from the Gospel of St. Mark and also from the first book of Kings, we hear about two great widows that the Lord is upholding as a witness or as an example for us to follow. In both instances, these widows were very poor. They had almost nothing. In the first book of Kings, the prophet Elijah meets this poor widow of Zarephath who has only enough oil and flour to make one last loaf of bread before she and her son go to their death. And in our gospel today, from the Gospel of St. Mark, our Lord encounters this poor widow across from the treasury who puts in 2 small coins, her whole livelihood, all that she had, into the treasury. In both instances, what we encounter is trust. Both the poor widow of Zarephath and the poor widow who put her whole livelihood into the treasury trust that God will provide for their needs. Sometimes in our own lives, we are like these widows, that we seem to have not very much, but we can give it all to the Lord, because we are able to trust Him as well. We must therefore pour out all that we are and all that we have to the Lord. I think that another good example of this same trust comes to us in the married life. Right? Husbands and wives give themselves totally in trust to the other as a sign of their love and commitment. In good times and in bad times, in sickness and in health, in a certain sense they are jumping into the wild unknown. They trust each other and they trust the Lord. During this National Vocations Awareness Week, which ends today, it's our task as Christians to pray for and support vocations not only to the priesthood and religious life, but also good and holy vocations to marriage, so that young people who are discerning what God is asking of them might also be willing to trust Him and be able to give their whole lives to Him, knowing that He will give them everything they need to become holy. In our second reading today from the letter to the Hebrews, we find that Christ did not withhold anything in giving Himself up for us. We're told that once and for all, He has appeared at the end of all ages to take away sin by His sacrifice. Trusting in the sacrifice of Christ, we are confident that God will give us the graces we need to do His work, no matter what we are called to do. And therefore, whether we are priests or religious or married or single people living in the world, we trust God. We give our whole lives to Him, and we ask Him to give us only in return what we need to do His work.